Hello, everybody. Welcome to another SIG Windows meeting. Thank you guys for joining us. We have a variety of folks here on the meeting. We have Google, Microsoft, Cloudbase, Apprenda, and more on the call. So thank you all for attending today. I have a few updates to provide for you guys, and then we'll move on from there and see if anybody has any questions or any concerns that they want to bring up. Jason, thank you so much for taking the meeting notes the last couple of meetings. I'm assuming you're doing that today as well?
I am. Glad to help.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Much appreciated. All right. So from the development standpoint, one of the things we worked on in the last week or so was trying to make sure that Node port is working well on the OVN OVS stack. So Bob and team basically worked to make some changes there to make sure that we're able to route packets through some of the built-in load balancing capabilities that Kubernetes has. We were successful in making that happen, and now we're working to make that repeatable so that the same changes are being able to get replicated out there in the field so others can take advantage of Node port. If you guys remember, Node port was something that was not working when we did the demo at Google Next, and this is kind of our first time that we're able to get Node port to work. In addition to that, what we've been working on more recently is a link from Cloudbase discovered with the latest release of Kubernetes 1.7. It seems that there is some issues around the kubelet being able to start correctly on the Windows side. It seems that there are some issues there, so our team is now looking into that. We definitely don't want to release 1.7 of Kubernetes and our alpha support not even working. So we're gonna give a good push here to make sure that that happens, and we're able to troubleshoot that. We'll get back to the community with any issues or any concerns depending on how that goes. I communicated to the community meeting last week as well that at the end of June that's the date for the plan, and when I say plan, that's the date for when we're going to release beta. So we're going to announce it at that point. So the team is costing and as well as estimating the amount of work necessary for doing a lot of the work that we have put forward in the proposal that we shared with you guys maybe 3 weeks ago or so. So we'll have some dates there. Tentatively, I believe that the day will look likely to be 1.8. So that's going to be the release of Kubernetes at the end of September. So that's the most likely plan, but we'll have more details then. We've had a call to action a couple of times to see if more folks are able to come and contribute on this. We only have a couple of developers working on this, which is not enough to deal with the mountain of issues that we have and the mountain of work that needs to be done. So, obviously, if you guys know more folks that can contribute, be more than welcome. That's the high-level set of updates that I have from some of the inner workings of the SIG. In addition to that, we're going to submit a proposal to have a session at KubeCon in the US in Austin at the end of this year. The session will likely be around network namespace isolation and scheduling Windows Server containers. So it's going to be a combination of the OVN OVS work and a lot of the compute work that we're doing for Windows Server containers. And me and Alessandro from Cloudbase are submitting the proposal together. So it will be a joint session between the two of us, if accepted. If you guys have any ideas on any other thing, any cool things that you're working on or things that you want to propose, feel free to submit your own proposals or let me know. I'll be glad to brainstorm with you guys and see if that something makes sense. So anything that, I'm here as a resource if you want to bounce some ideas off. All right, let's go around the room and see if anybody else has any updates or anything they would like to share with the community or any questions or concerns. All right, nothing? Anyone?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So with the call to action for getting more help, more development towards these efforts, I feel like there's a number of people that would like to contribute but aren't sure how, and so I don't know what we can do to address that, but like whether that's dev or work on docs or what. But do you have any comment on what we could do there?
Yeah, I think that this is especially difficult for this SIG for a couple of different reasons. The traditional knowledge that folks that work on Kubernetes have is mostly Linux-based, while here we're doing a lot of work that's on a different operating system that's Windows, sometimes learning a new language, Go, learning new networking concepts that's on Windows that don't necessarily map. So there is definitely a ramp-up period. We've experienced that with multiple people that have joined the SIG over the last year, from Piresh to Aline and his team, to Bob. Everybody had some ramp-up period. So that whoever joins us is something that should be a commitment that they're willing to make for more than a couple of months, where they can spend the time to get educated. They can follow our blueprint for, first of all, starting to set up the cluster, right? Start doing the work. And part of the education at the beginning is testing, right? You're seeing how things are working out, and you're helping us test the solution, file some bugs, and then start taking the initiative and trying to see what it would take to fix it. Right now, we have a couple of folks working on this. So there's the folks from Cloudbase and folks from Apprenda. I'm sure we would embrace new members that want to come and contribute, and show them what they need to learn first to get onboarded and get the necessary knowledge to be able to be contributing, and then figure out, we definitely have tasks across the board in terms of the work that we need to do, and some of them are more isolated than others, and they'll be able to pick one up and work. But that really the biggest barrier to entry here is the ramp up period on this SIG. It's not like other SIGs like SIG Cluster Ops or anything else where someone wants to contribute. They can find a very well-defined code base and just go fix it. Well, we don't necessarily have that. Alex, were you trying to say something?
No, just ran a little bit late. Sorry about that.
That's okay, no problem. Jason, were you trying to ask a question earlier too?
Yeah, I have two things. One is that if we want to have this ramp-up process be easier, we should probably come up with some sort of contributor doc and work with SIG Contribex on that, because this is not unique to our SIG. I mean, the ramp-up part of this is tricky because Windows, like you said, has so many different patterns. But in terms of how do you even start contributing to the core project, that's something that comes up over and over again. So maybe we meld the stuff from Contributor Experience SIG with some specific Windows information. We put it in the SIG README in community repo. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can bring that up at the next SIG PM meeting. I know for sure that one of the things that Bob did, and I know he did it mostly for his own education, is he started a document to kind of put down his thoughts as he's learning about SIG Windows. So right now, that's not for external consumption. I think that was just his own document. But obviously, as we want more people to contribute, when we make some headway here, and we get figure out what's going on with 1.7, maybe that's something that we can spend a few hours to make it more polished, and that could be the kind of the building block for creating that documentation for external consumption. I think that this works very well when you have the next person that wants to come in. Everything that they don't know, they put them in that doc, right? And then the next person does the same. So this has to be an iterative process where every person that comes into the SIG and learns something goes and puts it in the doc, so the next person can benefit from it.
That's a great idea. All right, I documented that. So, Michael, are you taking that as a to-do for Contribex, or how do you, or PM, or how do you want to handle it?
I'll talk to other PMs and see what we can do here on the contributor experience. So I'm taking that as the action item, and then I'll talk to Bob as well about making his document more public for consumption. It can become the building block for new guys.
Okay. Great. Okay, I put it in the. Could put it in the notes. The thing I was going to bring up is that SIG Azure is going to have our first meeting Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Excellent.
If you go to the SIG list, there is a link there to the Zoom and also the meeting notes. We're making some good headway. We've got some great stuff planned in 1.8 that we're going to be looking at, like Azure Managed Disks. So that'll hopefully take care of some of the issues that we've had with slow disk mounts and some of that stuff. And just generally speaking, working on the cloud provider, making it a better experience. I'm also going to be talking to Siddhartha Mani, who is doing the cloud provider breakout work. And maybe there's some stuff there that we could look at, an ancillary cloud provider plugin or something like that, so we can maybe move a little faster and not have to be right in the middle of core to do that work. So yeah, there's some really exciting things going on. There's some PRs that are going into 1.6.5 specific to Azure load balancing and accepting UDP port requests on the load balancer, some other stuff like that. So 1.6.5 release will be a really great thing for anybody using Azure Windows servers on Azure and leveraging the cloud provider.
Excellent. This is great. Can you please forward me the invite to the meeting, the recurring invite? I just joined your mailing list right now, but I'm sure I won't get the invite until the next time you guys update. So if you can forward that to me, Jason, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Can you put your email in the chat?
Yeah, I'll Slack it to you directly.
Okay. Yeah, and anybody else, Slack me. I'm Jay Dumars in Slack. If you want to get an invite. I'll also post a link to the meeting about 10 minutes before in the SIG Azure Slack channel.
Wow.
Excellent.
Thanks.
All right. Anybody else have anything else they want to bring up to the SIG?
I'll bring up something that I mentioned before, that like I'm not quite working on SIG Windows things directly. What I've been working on recently is a prototype of what I call Infranettes. It's about letting you run VMs in whatever cloud you are in, like AWS, GCP, could be vSphere, as Kubernetes pods. So right now I have it just working with Linux because that's sort of, it's been the most well understood sort of model. But my hope is, the reason I started building it is because we have clients that have sort of Windows VMs that they want to manage in a sort of a Kubernetes type manner. And sort of your experience with sort of OVS, OVN is probably going to have to be the direction I go, because they want to be able to sort of make VMs be the endpoints of services, or have VMs be able to access containers and have it sort of a hybrid approach between containers and VMs. So I just thought I'd bring that up. I actually put up the code on GitHub yesterday, so I can share the link to the Slack channel.
That'd be great. Thank you. We could definitely will take a look as well.
Do you need any help on it on the OVN OVS side? Because in theory it should work on the Windows.
Spotter, you're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, after I finish speaking, I put myself on mute.
Do you need any help, Spotter?
Right now, no. My goal is to basically bring up to do basically two orthogonal tests, bring up the Kubernetes OVS OVN example, and also bring up sort of the Windows clustering like separately to understand both of them, and then I might have questions. But until I get to that point, I have a few things to do on my own.
Okay, it should be like the heterogeneous cluster documentation would work on any type of cloud provider. The only difference would be the MTU or the interface's name or so on. But you could use that documentation even on premise.
most of my development I do today, I do in GCP or AWS. Recently, more focused on GCP. But I'll definitely ask for help if I need it. I was actually at VMware last week speaking to their OVS, OVM people to get some feedback on it. And they said, cloud-based people are the experts in this domain for Kubernetes for Windows.
Just let us know if you need help. We can help you write the documentation for it. Will actually be pretty cool. It's like a documentation for all the cases, the use cases that people might encounter.
Okay, thank you. It sounds, I appreciate it.
Cool. Anybody that wants to bring anything else up to the SIG? All right, cool. Well, thank you guys all for attending. Appreciate oh, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. We actually started developing on the CNI plugin at the moment.
Oh, excellent.
And we are debating on how to implement network namespace at the moment. So we're just playing around with the code and seeing what we can leverage out of Windows networking directly in the CNI. Alan, do you want to ask a few questions, like on which branch you should continue and so on?
Yeah, we were testing on Kubernetes branch 1.7 and we encountered some issues. Do you know when it's going to be fixed, or do you have a ETA or something like that?
What's the problem with that branch? I'm not familiar with
I talked to it, I don't know, Bistec or something like that from your team. And I cannot start the kubelet on Windows. I get some errors.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, so you're talking about the issue I talked at the beginning of the meeting where the kubelet won't start. So I believe Bob is on the meeting, but his name is showing up as KK5. So he's working on this issue. I don't know, Bob. Are you the KK5?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I did build the branch. I built the Hypercube image, and I'm just finishing. I'm modifying my scripts to be able to deploy the new provision and deploy the new 1.7 branch. But I'm going to get. I should be able to get that attempt to try to deploy it shortly, and see if I end up with the same issue or if it works.
This would be another question. Should we develop on 1.7 or should we aim for, I don't know, 1.6 or 1.5?
I think we should move forward. 1.7 is going to be the latest release. So whatever we do, it's going to be 1.8. Eventually, when we go to bed, that will be around 1.8 timeframe, right? So moving forward with the changes that happen in 1.7 is advantageous. However, if we find out that we can't fix this issue fast enough, then we can reevaluate in 1 or 2 days and post in the Slack channel and see if there's a better solution that will save us some time.
Okay, well, we usually actually develop most of our code on master. We don't see any issues. We just want it to be clear, like.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll figure out what that issue is. I mean, our users are going to hate it as well, so we want to get in front of it. Aline, a couple of things though. So since you started working on the CNI plugin, are you basing that off the native network namespace driver that Microsoft shipped in April?
We're trying different stuff. Okay. I'm playing around with Docker at the moment to see where to put most of the changes into the CNI. Should we rewrite something in Docker and talk with the Windows folks afterwards or not? So we're just messing with some ideas. It's nothing stable yet.
So if you want, you can definitely sit down with Jason from Microsoft. He's not on this call today. He sometimes does join us and talk about that. There's kind of a couple of different reasons. The first one is, Alessandro is on email threads with him. So if you want, just ask Alessandro to start the thread. I know Microsoft has experimented around playing with a CNI plugin built on top of their native overlay driver. So it'd be worthwhile to see if there's, you guys may not have need to start from scratch, Microsoft might be able to give you some early code that they've written as they're trying their own CNI plugins. So that could give you a head start. In addition to that, you can, as you're learning more, you can validate some of your design with Jason and his team. So I would definitely recommend either send me an email with the things you want to get started, or tell Alessandro to send the email. He can CC me as well. And Jason and I talk fairly often, so we'll be able to, help in any way you can here.
The idea would be we're just trying out different things. So at the moment we're just trying, I don't know, to use the compartments from the Windows network, or should we use another thing? So we're just messing around with some ideas, and at the moment we know from our experiments that something actually worked. We can get the best solution out of everything.
Absolutely, yeah, it makes sense. It never hurts to talk, to more people that have been playing with this, but it's completely up to you guys. I was just throwing it out there because Alessandro, me, and Jason have talked in the past about this.
Sure, after we did some experiments, we'll definitely talk, but I want to cover all the cases to see that I didn't miss anything.
Excellent. Thank you, Aline. All right. Anything else anybody has to share with us? All right. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate joining today. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.